Oi oi people, Silky here, and you're listening to the Lifer Musician Podcast, a podcast exploring the minds of creatives who've dedicated their lives to pursuing a career in music. The Lifer Musician Podcast is brought to you by Hookings Management, my artist services company that empowers our fellow DIY musicians to grow a monetised fan base without a record label. We offer a range of services such as online marketing, artist mentorship, release campaign management, videography, photography, graphic and website design, plus tons more useful services that are built to cater for independent musicians on small, self-funded budgets. Helping musicians market and monetize their art form is our passion. So if you're an artist that needs help taking your career to the next level, please feel free to reach out and get in touch via hookingsmanagement.com, where you can book a video call with me for some free advice on your project.
Yeah, I mean, like the accent thing. Not if you don't sing, you won't know this in the slightest. But the reason there is an American twang on the vast majority of vocalists is because it's the technical side of singing. To hit certain notes, your mouth needs to be in a certain shape to hit the note.
Yeah.
You know, that's why it's not that people are trying to be American. It's the pronunciation needs to be of a certain mouth shape to hit the note. When you sing in a British accent, like the word all, your mouth's like that. But when you're singing in a British accent, it's like, oh, you know, it's and it's harder to hit the note.
Right.
That's why the vast majority of people don't sing in this accent, even when they're English.
Yeah.
So it was really tough, especially when you sing the songs how I sing them. I sing those songs like it's the last song I'm ever gonna sing. You know, so to that adaptation was tough in the beginning, but once it became normal, I realised, well, this is my accent, you know, and although it is now harder to hit certain notes because of the accent, it's since I got used to it, far more natural because it's how I talk.
Yeah.
I'm just sort of talking and shouting in tune.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think as well, like going back to the whole, when you embark on a journey like this that is entrepreneurial, like you have to do things. And again, if we're putting a band if we're sort of talking about it in the clinical terms of growing a business, which essentially that is, if you want a career out of it, that is what this is. Albeit like a fun, creative, arty one, but it's still a business. Like you as the sort of like the leader, especially at times, you have to go way out your comfort zone and do some horrible work or go through like a horrible process to make sure that you end up closer to that end goal and go through that painful process of having to fucking roll your sleeves up and do something that feels uncomfortable but you know is right, and that again I think is a strong attribute for...
Yeah, I mean the thing is, Ollie, like, I mean, you'll be well aware of this, but just for the listeners, you will continue to get from life what you've got so far if you keep doing the same things. You know, our lives, when we look around at our lives, are a product of the way we choose to think. You know, so if you want something new, you have to think new and do new, you know.
And sometimes that's hard. That's really, you have to force that and it feels uncomfortable.
Yeah, of course. But tough shit, innit? You know, like that is just life. If you want something different, you got to do something different. And 99.9% of the time, that's going to involve you feeling uncomfortable and like a fish out of water for a little while. But I think a lot of entrepreneurially minded people appreciate and realise that. You know, you've got to, like I say, you just got to do something different to get something different. So as uncomfortable as it was for me and took a lot of getting used to, I knew it was the right thing because, like I say, when we started working with you, I was just like, whatever you suggested, I would see that as the right thing to do, you know, because what we had done hadn't been working in the past.
Yeah, man. But you guys, fucking hell, the trust that you had in me to do that, because at that point, we'd not done any marketing. There were no, there was no organic fan base. You weren't happy with the album yourselves, so you were going to re-record it anyway. And I guess that's where I felt I'm relieved that you'd made that decision, because if you were happy with it and wanted to put it out, I wouldn't have had the balls to say, man, I think you should actually re-record the vocals and sing them in a different style that's more authentic to your accent. So it's a bit of a godsend that you guys were re-recording the album anyway. But yeah, to trust me that much and go through that painful process of having to sort of completely restart almost as a vocalist, and change the image of the band and or refine the image of the band. There was a lot of trust there in those early stages. So we went and recorded filmed a music video, didn't we, in Margate for Eye of the Hurricane?
Yeah.
Let's talk a bit about that.
Yeah, it was. We couldn't have timed it any better, could we? Because it was at Scargate. Is that the name of the festival?
Yeah,
that was on, wasn't it?
Well, we should have gone, man, shouldn't we?
We were talking about
Still
it, weren't we?
Myself
and I think I had everyone the night before. So by the time we'd finished the video, I went, actually, no, I'll take it. Yeah, I think it was you. I think it was you that bottled it. Yeah. It was you that bottled it.
Was it me?
Yeah. I would have stayed. Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. I thought I was doing myself a bit of a disservice there. But yeah, it was the first day where this new idea that you'd put to us was being put into action. You found Laura Cherry, who's subsequently been in more videos with us than she hasn't since.
So Laura's in the Maya Dancers, and they're like a sort of 60s themed like dance group, aren't they?
Like go-go dancing.
Yeah.
And she's an amazing girl, Laura. She's very entrepreneurial minded as well. And but anyway, it was the first day we put it all into practice. And where there was a lot of mods and skins down there for the festival anyway, they're all like commenting on us. So, you know, I mean, I had that suit anyway, but it's the first time I'd stepped out with my bandmates in these whistles. Do you know what I mean? And everyone was going, "Oh, you look very smart, lads," blah, 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 from people within the scene themselves. And I just felt at home doing that. You know, it was a beautiful day.
Did it give you a bit of a swagger and a confidence, like sort of?
Well, yeah, because I remember you saying when we were doing one of the shots, "Do you want some fruit with that bowl, Dan?" You know, so clearly it did. Do you know what I mean? I'll never forget that.
Yeah, I think that's an important thing to touch on, actually. Like having like a sort of a go-to like stage get up is for me. That really helps me as a performer. Do you know what I mean? Like I have the suit and the stripy shirt and the eyeliner and the sunglasses and the Union Jack umbrella. And when I whack that gear on, I'll morph into like the performer version of me. Did you get the same thing like when you whack the suits on?
On that day, I can't remember, but it does give you an extra something walking on stage.
Yeah,
in a pucker suit like that, you know. It, well, a bloke will never look better than when he's wearing a suit, right? You know, like it's just they're just the best thing in terms of image for a bloke, and especially if you're into like the mod thing, it just looks the bollocks. So it does give you an extra bit of confidence knowing that you look like that, you know. Yeah, without a doubt.
So we filmed the video in Margate. Mother Nature was on our side that day. It was a beautiful day, wasn't it?
Glorious, mate. Bit too hot, because I remember sitting down for lunch and taking my blazer off, and my shirt was just stuck to my back.
And so Laura come down from the Mad Dancers and starred in the video in sort of 60s mod get up, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it come out amazing, and it was really exciting for me on a personal level when I first One, when Mitch sent the mix of Hurricane and heard you in that style, that vocal style for the first time, and I think we'd all had a conversation to say, let's record it grittier. Let's try and make it sound like a jam record, like from back in the day. And yeah, when I heard Hurricane for the first time, I was like, oh, fucking hell, man, this has just come to life. Like, it was a good tune before, but wow, like. And then the video's come out so well, and the video is. So that was your first sort of single and video. I mean, you put bits out here and there, hadn't you? But never put marketing money into it.
Yeah. Nothing had ever been properly released, you know?
Yeah, and that's still like our go-to sort of what Entrepreneur, shout out to those guys, we call a fan finder ad, in that we target a cold audience. So for anybody that doesn't know what a cold audience means, it's a target demographic of people that haven't engaged with your page before. So in Block 33's case, we target fans of Paul Weller and The Jam and other sort of mod artists in the mod space. And yeah, I mean, that video's had like millions of views now, isn't it?
4 million.
Is it 4 million now?
4
Fucking
million.
hell, it's mental.
It's fucking mental.
So we're averaging like $1 million a year on that one. That ain't bad, is it? I mean, look, you guys have invested a lot of money into that ad to get those views up, but this isn't a case of buying views for vanity metrics. If you happen to stumble across that ad on Facebook, you will see thousands of comments, won't you? And likes and shares and fan engagement. And that has been the fan growth machine for Block 33, isn't it?
Yeah, without a doubt. And it's still working as well today as it did the day it come out. I'll never forget. I think we were talking about this the other day, actually. We'd done the video, the song was mastered, and we were all messaging. And someone just said, look, what are we fucking waiting for? We haven't got an audience. Let's just put it out tonight. Why put a release date out? No one's going to read it. You know, so let's just stick it out tonight. And I'll never ever forget. Within minutes of it being out, the comments started rolling in, and I remember texting the boys like, "Fucking hold on to your hat, boys. There's a chance this could really become what we want it to be." You know, because as keen as we were, in our heart of hearts, none of us could really see it happening. You know, and that's exactly why we put so much faith in you, because we didn't have a clue, you know, how to go about it. But yeah, putting that video out really showed us the potential of some targeted advertisement. And
I think that the fact that we made that conscious decision to rebrand the band as a mod band and really bring that side out in you more and show more of that side of you and have that sort of whole look and sound and focused ad campaign as a calling card within the mod scene and subculture, which is still hugely popular worldwide, isn't it? It's not mainstream by any means, but every weekend there's huge like events happening, aren't there?
Yeah.
Whether it's a scooter rally or even, you know, on grassroots level, there's you know, fucking pubs all around the country, and fucking, as long as there's not a pandemic going on, and there'll be like 150 like mods like fucking packed into a pub, like watching a mod cover band or something, like all around the UK on a Saturday night. And then on a bigger scale, you've obviously got fucking Who and Paul Weller and the Dons. Like it's a huge thing, isn't it?
Definitely. I mean,
scene.
When Def Guitar Pop played the Green Door store, I don't know whether you booked that intentionally,
no,
but it was the same weekend.
That was just by chance.
Mod weekender. So me and Laura were just like, fuck it, we'll go down there for the whole weekend. So we went to I think it's called Volks.
Yeah, I know.
On the seafront. It was like being in Quadrophenia. Honestly, you had sort of 200 odd scooters all lined up outside this bar, and it was just incredible to go and look at, you know, all the detail on them, which obviously highlighted the owner's personality a little bit. And then the bar was just full up with people. But the most amazing thing, and this is when the ads, I obviously knew they were working because we'd monetized the band long before this. But it was the first time I'd ever been somewhere where I wasn't playing, but fans were coming up to me. You know, like we'd been in the place less than 30 seconds. I hadn't even joined the queue for the bar yet. Someone come up to me, all right, Dan, you playing this weekend? I honestly done it like, is he talking to me or is there someone behind me, you know? Couldn't believe it. And then as that afternoon and like went into the evening, there was sort of like 7 or 8 different people that come up to me and, all right, Dan, and blah, blah, blah. And I thought, this is what you fucking dream about, isn't it? You know? It was amazing. And that really did ram it home again how powerful them Facebook ads are.
Greetings, listeners. Jake from Decent Mastering here. Really pleased to be involved with a podcast whose ethos aligns with my own, helping independent artists. My Pay What You Feel mastering service offers inclusivity to music creators with tighter budgets, giving quality audio at a price that suits them. To get in contact, send an email to decentmastering@gmail.com or send me a DM on Instagram @decentmastering. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Yeah, I think the ads in themselves are a great platform for people to market their music through. But I think coupled with that, the importance of understanding your artist branding and embracing it and having a real awareness of like, okay, we're a mod band, like, and that is our brand, and being able to tap into a niche audience, that's so important. Like that makes it so much easier from a marketing standpoint when you've got a focused tribe of people that all love the same shit to sort of niche down and target as a marketer. And yeah, I guess when we were first meeting and working together and just sort of throwing ideas round, I was obviously racking my brains of like, right, what can I apply? Like, I need this to be almost like a carbon copy of what I've done with Death of Guitar Pop for it to work. And I just, I obviously could see that mod thing that you guys had, but it wasn't really being fully embraced by you. And I was just thinking, well, we've fully embraced the ska movement and the two-tone sort of look. And that is a niche, and we've done so well within that. And I think that we're like, there's not been many new British ska bands that are influenced heavily by Madness and the Specials, writing their own original music that's reminiscent of some of that stuff. And I was just thinking, like, the whole time, well, these guys can do that with the Jam, do you know what I mean? And be the mod version of what we're doing in the sort of concept and marketing of it. And so I just think that's really important to understand who your niche audience is. And
well, it was easy for me because, like I touched on earlier, like I never really felt like I'd ever fitted in until then, really. As soon as like that was decided for the band, like we're going to really take it down this route, I just felt at home, you know, really, really did, in like the clothes I was wearing. And obviously when you're a mod band, you meet other mods, and I just felt, yeah, this is fucking where I belong.
Awesome.
So it was easy to embrace, you know.
Cool. So let's talk about treating your band as a business and investing your own time and money into growing that business each month, and how that's benefited you guys in the past few years.
Yeah, I mean, cool. So having someone such as yourself alongside us who knows the Facebook advertising thing, you know, knowing that our money's going to be, it's not going to be wasted, it was quite easy to commit to doing it, you know. But what is forever running parallel with it is, it's like, fucking hell, like I'm 30, nearly 33 now. I don't really feel it at the moment, but there has been times since we've started working together, it's like, God, I'm throwing a lot of money at this, like, and all my mates are cracking on doing this, that and the other, and I'm just still here with my guitar, like, you know, trying to pick up another couple of fans. But obviously everyone's on their own path, aren't they? And you've got to do what makes you happy ultimately. But yeah, it's absolutely necessary, whether you find it easy or whether you find it hard. Like the mental aspect of it is something that's necessary if you want to grow. It's like any business, like unless you are Coca-Cola or, whoever, other drinks are available, by the way, you need to advertise. It's like Grant Cardone says, everybody's biggest problem is obscurity. Not like you've got a bad product or the service is poor or any other of these things that you need to do to make a good, reliable business with returning custom. It's obscurity is your biggest problem. So if you're not willing to advertise, don't bother.
Yeah. And I think that a lot of artists don't understand that the reality of it is it takes like hundreds of thousands of pounds really to fully, like in marketing money and development money, to fully break an artist and establish an artist's business. Do you know what I mean? It's and we're all kind of looking for some kind of mass audience, and a mass audience can be a few thousand people, in my opinion, or fucking Adele levels. But yeah, that to get that kind of exposure in the first place, that comes at a cost. And if you're not one of the very few artists that have a label grab hold of you and actually do a proper job on you and spend proper money and time marketing it, it's on you, innit? It's down to you to make that stuff happen and reach that audience. But I just think it's such a blessing that we're in a time now where musicians aren't as reliant on a sort of record label coming and investing in them and getting them on within their sort of monopoly of gatekeepers to get them on the radio and whatever else. Like, you can use online marketing through social media. You can use social media and ad platform marketing to go like direct to consumer and find fans yourself and build those fans. And I think what would be cool to talk about would be how. So you guys have been investing in Facebook ads now for nearly 4 years, and you've had this one ad in particular that's done really well for you, and that's the first single and video of Eye of the Hurricane. And you target that ad to people within the mod niche in the UK.
Yeah.
And that generates like organic fans on a daily basis, doesn't it? When the ad's running at sort of £10-20 a day average, you are generating new audience every day, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, going back to what you said a little while ago about it being a blessing that we're in this period where you can go and do it yourself without a label. That is, it is. I think blessing is an understatement, because for as long as music has been popularized, you've needed some massive corporation. I mean, not massive sometimes, because our creation weren't massive, were they, but you've needed some body to help you, like, it's not the case anymore. As long as everybody in the band has got the same vision and the drive, it is possible for you to make it happen. I mean, look at Def Guitar Pop, 24 in the charts. It's mental, and it's massively inspiring as well. Yeah, it's a great time to be in a band. It really is. Obviously there's not as much money in the industry as there used to be, but it's just the scales have tipped a bit. There's less money because of the internet, and the internet has allowed bands like ours in the door.
Yeah, and I think it was a lot more monopolized back in the sort of I don't know, like the mid 90s, when people would sell fucking millions of CDs. What's cool about it now is back then when we were growing up, you one or two things. You were either like a sort of top tier artist, which meant that you were all over mainstream media, well established, in the charts, on the radio, on mainstream television, sort of main stage at festivals. That was your world, and you were up there and probably selling like millions of records and a millionaire. Or you were a struggling artist, and that would usually be two types of artist: an unsigned artist that had never quite got their break, or perhaps someone that had been close to the top level, or maybe on the top level for a short space of time, and then had been dropped and gone out of flavour and was sort of chasing former glories, and failing to get back in that circle of gatekeepers that gives the music the platform to be heard and for the artist to make money. And that was it. You were there or you were there. Now, what's awesome is this huge middle ground has opened up, and artists like you and I can build a fan base. I mean, 1,000 fans, 1,000, the concept of 1,000 true fans. Once you've got a tribe of 1,000 people that are really into what you're doing online, and they'll pay you £100 across a year in a crowdfunding pledge, a merchandise purchase, a ticket purchase, and a fan club membership. That's £100,000 a year income business off of a small audience of people, isn't it?
Yeah.
And those opportunities weren't out there, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, whenever it was, like they are now. And that's really cool. You can almost create a successful small business as an artist, whereas you couldn't really do that before. Like as an original artist, to get your original art heard by your target audience. I mean, it did happen on the underground. And of course, there was like the punk movement and everything. And there was that cottage industry thing going on, but it was rare. Do you know what I mean? And now the internet has kind of leveled the playing field, I think, for independent musicians. And that's why it's so exciting. And I think what's cool as well is that I think back to when I was sort of first out gigging in States of Emotion, or in some of the early years, I was probably like 18, 19 years old. We were going and playing like these unsigned band nights, and there was a bit of a scene for it then, like emo, pop punk and indie was very fashionable in youth culture. And you'd go into these like there was a lot happening on the underground. There was indie clubs and rock clubs, and you could like tip up as a band and play to an alternative club of like 100, 200 people, and there'd be an opportunity there to win a fan base. And alongside that, you had MySpace happening. And so there was like a early form of social media where people could go and find independent bands online and share their music with their friends and build something online. This was like the early incarnation of it. But as far as I'm aware, you could pay for like MySpace banner ads and stuff, but the marketing was nowhere near as advanced as what the social ad platforms are now. And so, like, I remember playing a show with Enter Shikari back in the day, and they were literally out in a beaten up old van playing every single night of the fucking year. And some nights they played to like 4 people at the fucking Dog and Parrot, and other nights they'd play an alternative music night somewhere, and it'd be packed. And that, along with MySpace organically growing for them. And also the fans that had seen them in the venue being able to then go and listen to their music on MySpace, and that they built something independent, and it turned into a monster. They sold out the Astoria, and the rest is history. They're a huge band, aren't they, Enter Shikari? But they were young fellas out in a van, they didn't have day jobs, and they were going out there and having to graft it and physically promote themselves every night of the week, which is costly in terms of time and money you're going to lose on the road. And yeah, for people that are like you and I that are that sort of embarked on this new journey within music in our late 20s and now in our 30s, that's not a sustainable lifestyle. Like I mean, it is, but I don't think it's a healthy one. And not just that, the scene's not there right now to go out and play every night. I don't think that was a different time then, and guitar music was popular with the youth culture. And I guess what I'm trying to say is the positive thing is if you've got to do a day job, and you're sort of side hustling your music like you are. What's cool about it is you can go and do your day job and earn your money, and whilst you're at work earning money that you can then invest further into your music career, you've made 20 or 30 fans that day that have seen your Facebook ad and commented on it, and then that night you can reply to them and connect with them, sort of. And that's the new version of like what Ennett Shikari were doing all those years ago, old school with a clipboard, getting out playing and chatting to fans afterwards and taking their email address and giving them a flyer with their MySpace. Like you can get that exposure and get to your target audience on an automated basis by paying, putting money in the ad platform and paying to promote your content to your target demographic and actually picking the detailed targeting on Facebook and Instagram or YouTube, the bands that you sound like, and it'll appear on their wall, like on their social media feed, whilst you're doing whatever else. You've got like an automated fangram machine, and that's fucking great, isn't it?
Yeah, it just goes back to the way social media is now being an absolute blessing, because I don't give a fuck how much you say you love music. I don't want to be in the back of a van playing a gig every night for a year. I fucking love music more than anything, but I don't want to do it every night for a year. Do you know what I mean?
Maybe if there was thousands of people there that wanted to hear it,
different.
But going out and doing it like that,
potentially playing to 4 people in fucking Thornaby near Middlesbrough. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Fuck that. It's I only picked Thornaby because my mate's from Thornaby. Nothing against anybody from Thornaby. I've just got a good mate who's from there. Yeah, social media, it's an absolute blessing because, like you just said, while you're going and earning more money to pump into Facebook, it's already doing the rounds for you.
And it's building the fans.
So
and once that appeal's there, you can cherry pick your touring a bit, and you'll actually play shows where there's a demand and you're selling tickets in advance because these people are already very familiar with you and have become fans online. So I just think it's great that you don't need some kind of gatekeeper to access that. Like you know, I think again, like around that era, I was discovering a lot of the music that I loved on like Kerrang Television and MTV2 and Scuzz. All right, Scuzz was a little bit more gnarly and fucking DIY, but Kerrang and MTV2, those alternative music channels, you probably would have had to have been on a record label to be, 9 times out of 10, to be getting the exposure on those channels where the audience is. Whereas now, you don't need any gatekeeper. You just need to have the marketing knowledge and to put the money into the ads and reach the audience off your own back. But the sort of, I think that, and this is something that's different is not different to like how Ennett Shikari did it, is they did invest their own money and their own time and did it hardcore and entrepreneurial. But a lot of the bands that we would have grown up loving probably never had to put their hand in their pocket like we have to reach an audience.
No way.
It happened because a label invested that money and gave them the privilege of their network and those gatekeepers and got them out there and made them famous. But what modern musicians need to get their head round is there's a way to do it now without having to rely on those gatekeepers. But you have to invest your own money or source the capital yourself to market and reach that target audience and grow a fan base.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll tell you what, one thing, because as you know, I've been listening to the audiobook of How to Make It in the New Music Business.
Shout out to Ari Herstand.
Yeah, great book. And I highly recommend it to anyone who wants to go down this road. But something he mentioned in that book, which really, really struck a chord with me, was how fast-paced changes in the world today, not just music. You know, who's just like, we've spent all this time accumulating this fan base on Facebook. Who's to say when TikTok came around that everybody just left Facebook to go to TikTok? That's more than plausible.
Well, we've already seen the youth demographic move off of Facebook, haven't we?
Exactly that. Like, and the ones that remain on there don't really comment as much as like the older generations and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, what you mentioned earlier about the Hunter being the Facebook band that cracked it on there, I don't think they'd be able to do that now because their audience is, as far as I'm aware, predominantly like youth demographic, and that audience ain't on there anymore.
Well, this is exactly what I'm talking about, Ollie. You know, like things change so quickly in this modern, excuse the pun, technological world we live in now. So the point I'm making is if you got to make hay while the sun shines, haven't you? You know, because you don't know when you're going to have the rug pulled from under your feet, so to speak. Like, because if Facebook went now, we'd be fucked.
Well, you say that.
We wouldn't be fucked because we've got a pretty good...
It'd be a setback.
We've got a strong email list of about 3,000, you know.
I mean, this leads on quite well, actually, to one of my next notes, and that is the free plus shipping offers and building that monetized list, so that data collection of fans, which is vital because that is a safeguard against what you're talking about in that, all right, if the platform changed tomorrow or disappeared, it would fuck us up a bit. It'd be a setback and we'd have to readapt our marketing for fan growth and a lot of the retargeting. But the good thing is we've made a conscious decision right from the start of when you had your first organic fan, the same way that in the same way that we did with Definitely Guitar Pop, is that let's not send them over to Spotify and give Spotify the traffic. Let's send them to our own website and try and get them in our own funnel and monetized and on our list. Do you know what I mean? So that we own the customer data and not Spotify. And one of the ways in which we've done that, for you guys, for us, and many other artists we've worked with, is through a free plus shipping offer. And the free plus shipping offer is your debut album on CD signed by the band, and you scrap the RRP price and just ask the customer to pay the postage and packaging. So it's like a low ticket entry level product and an offer to encourage a fan to buy something off you directly online, so that you can show them that your music's great and your products are worth buying. So you take the hit on the RRP of the CD, but you get a fan monetized at like £3.95 and sell them a CD essentially. And in return, you get their email address, phone number, postal address, and Facebook and Instagram pixel data, which means that you can track and target them easier on social media. So yeah, I mean, one reason in which that's good is that you've got all those return path ways of contacting those fans every time you've got something new to shout about. And then the other thing to add to your point is that if all of a sudden your platform, your social media channel that you're getting the most engagement and traction on changes and takes that away from you, you've got the data of all the super fans and your customers so that you don't lose that contact with them. And next time you put a show on or do a crowdfunding campaign for an album, you won't have lost anything in that all those fans that have already backed it before will know about it, whether Facebook exists or not at that point.
Yeah. That's something that obviously I didn't realise about straight away when we first started working together, but it's absolutely crucial. And the free plus shipping thing, I remember when you got that book, Russell Brunson, .com Secrets, innit? And I remember you telling me about, I've had this idea, blah, 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 because ultimately there's a hell of a lot of noise to try and cut through on social media, even if you're marketing's on the money, blah blah blah. You've still got to attract that person, you know, and nothing attracts people more than free, does it?
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and if you've got, I mean, as luck would have it, both of our first albums, the people that have heard it in its entirety, they luckily for us love it. So it's a great thing to be able to offer for free, because if someone who's just in the funnel sees a review or a comment from someone who's listened to it, going, oh, yeah, and they basically write their thoughts in this comment. They go, well, if he loves it and I'm getting it for free, I'm having some of this. And then as soon as they're in the door, you got the data, haven't you? You know.
Yeah.
And like I say, luckily people really like our first album, so they're you can view them as fans / customers from that moment, really.
Yeah, man. Cool. All right. So let's talk a little bit about how you guys have monetized. So we've spoken about how you've managed to reach a target audience through paid ads and get all that love and momentum online and build a fan base. But let's talk about the ways in which we've monetized them. So crowdfunding, fan club, obviously the free plus shipping we just touched on. That's how we monetized them initially. But we've ascended the fans as customers, haven't we? And festival shows, promoting your own gigs and selling tickets for your own website. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think the first thing we done for data was a link, wasn't it, for Hurricane?
Yeah.
On Bandcamp, was that
right? It was, I believe.
Yeah, that was the first thing we did. Because obviously we didn't have we had one single, so we couldn't do the free plus shipping because we didn't have an album. So that was the first thing we did, and then so
it was a free download, wasn't it? On
free
Bandcamp,
download
if you signed up. Which, to be fair, that's not really a great incentive for music fans.
At the time, it was working though. We were getting email addresses,
yeah, and I
we
think,
had nothing else to work with.
No, so yeah, if you've got nothing else, it's better than nothing. And the free download's a token. But what was probably happening there is they weren't really fucked about the free download because they could just stream the song, but they wanted to sign up to support the band and be notified about what was coming next.
Yeah. So I think the next thing we did in terms of monetization was the crowdfunding campaign, wasn't it? Because we put a couple more singles out. I think we played a couple of gigs, but we'd had them booked before we started working with you anyway. So they weren't, I don't even think they were paying gigs.
Oh yeah, so apologies. So I said the free plus shipping was the first thing we did for monetization, but it wasn't, was it? Because a lot of time what we do with a band is they'll have like an EP before they've got an album, and we'll do a CD of that and offer it as a free plus shipping product to build that monetized list. And once we get to sort of 200-300 people, we then launch a crowdfunding campaign for the first album. And at that stage, we've got a 100% record so far of raising between 5 and 10 grand on a crowdfunding campaign for an artist once they're at that stage. But you guys actually skipped the free plus shipping because you had a sort of album ready to go and more or less, but just needed some costs covered. So we just went straight to crowdfunding, didn't we?
Yeah. Which I think we topped out at about 5 or 5.5 grand or something. And the things that were on that crowdfunding campaign, you know, like we've said, we put our faith in you completely, and your ideas for putting things on the crowdfunding perk list. I found it absolutely There's a target flag we used for the video for our second single. And it's obviously in the video, and someone in Arizona bought it for like 60 quid or something.
Hell,
you know, it blew our minds, you know. My rectangle Steve Marriott style glasses, someone bought for 50 quid. And it really is amazing how much they'll back you, you know. And it went such a long way with us. We were able to pretty much, we still had to put some of our own money in, and to be fair, still a healthy portion, but we had 5.5 grand covered by crowdfunding. And from that moment, not that we had any kind of, what's the best word, but we were certain it was going to work up until that point because the Hurricane vid was doing so well.
Yeah.
But if there were any questions, that crowdfunding campaign answer them.
Yeah, because to get $5,500 in like 2 months, wasn't it, through Indiegogo?
Yeah, that's right.
It's like a big windfall. So you'd invested that money for a year or so, and all of a sudden, like $5,500 recouped, like in a short space of time. So it's like a nice little windfall for you guys. And then we did the free plus shipping, didn't we? Like a couple, 2 or 3 months after the album had been out.
Yeah, I think so. Which we felt a little bit uncomfortable with to start with, because we'd just been stinging everyone for a year or so. Not stinging, that's the wrong word, but charging people for an album that we're now going to start giving away for free. So everybody was like, I don't want to piss anyone off, but it was just an idea that happened to come across. You happened to come across at the time. So it was like, well, I'm sure people will understand, because we're like a DIY band.
Yeah, you're just trying to.
We're just trying to grow our band. That's all. We're not trying to take the piss out of anyone.
Yeah, and those guys have had the album 3 months earlier than anyone else. Do you know what I mean? And then the offer comes out. But yeah, I understand why, because you're conscientious people and you don't want to fuck off your biggest fans. Yeah, it can be a mental hurdle, that stuff, can't it?
Yeah, mate, definitely.
So yeah, the free plus shipping has helped, isn't it? You got that $5,500 from crowdfunding, and once the album was out, we carried on with the fan finder ad of Eye of the Hurricane, and then started retargeting people with that album CD that was now ready, and all they had to do was pay the shipping charge on it, postage and packaging, to receive the album, and that generated more monetized fans once the crowdfunding had finished, and still does now when we switch that ad back on. So yeah, the other couple of main ways in which we've monetized are the fan club. That came shortly after the first album was released as well, didn't it?
That kind of came about shortly after the first lockdown had been announced, because we were on the verge of putting 636 to Liverpool Street out, and the pandemic happened. So I was like, for fuck's sake, we can't even have a launch gig for this. So we were at a bit of a loss as to what to do. So I think Dog P had but you'd already started your fan club. So I was like, all right, well, we're just going to have to adapt to the current climate. What can we do? Let's do a fan club. And that recurring monthly income it's the bread and butter, really. Like we tell our fan club members all the time, like, you lot are what's the terminology you use?
The lifeblood.
Yeah. And it's so true. It's so true.
Yeah,
because
especially through the pandemic when there was no live income or anything.
Well, it's just like, what we're experiencing at the moment. We've got, although we've raised $11,000 from our most recent crowdfunding, we've still got some bits and bobs to pay for.
Yeah.
There's that and a few other little things. Look, we're on a quite a severe negative cash flow at the minute, but that fan club money makes it so much easier. We can keep the ads on. I think we're promoting the 100 Club gig at the moment, aren't we?
Yeah.
We're able to keep that on, and other little costs, like we've just had to restock the enamel badges. That reoccurring income. Like one day you'll skin because you've had all these things to pay for, but that fan club, your next time you look, you'll have a couple of £100 in there from.
Well, you guys got like 100 members pretty quickly, didn't you?
Yeah. I think we've got like 106 members now.
Yeah. And at $3.99 a month.
Yeah, £4 a month.
£4 a month. So,
but all the payments are sporadic. It's not £400 once a month. It's like £4 one day, £12 another.
Yeah. But overall, stretched out over the month. But it's
it's been. And not just the financial aspect of it. I find it so just amazing that these people are willing to, on a monthly basis, be it £4 or not, part with their hard-earned cash to support us. Because that's what the fan club is. Yes, they do get things that
get like messages on their birthday from you guys.
Video messages on their birthday. They get, discount off all merch.
They get a merch pack for signing up as well, don't they?
Merch pack for signing up. You get first listens on new releases. There's a long list, and there's loads more stuff, and more that we're actually going to do this year, which I'm not, it will be announced later on in the year. But, it's not like they're doing it out of the goodness of their art. They do get some value.
Yeah, but it's as much about the sort of patronage as it is. Yeah, getting the perks and benefit it from the merch perks. It's about, I get these cool perks, but I just want to support these guys. Like £4 a month
mainly it
helps them continue to create music, and I love hearing new music from them. So yeah, I think the fan clubs are an essential one for, especially, I think, any musician, really.
I think there's a little bit from music fans as well, especially fans of guitar music, that whether they realise it or not, I think there's a little bit of them where the attitude is, well, if I don't support this band and bands like them, I ain't going to find them. Well, I say I ain't going to find them in the charts. He's just come number 24. But you know what I'm saying? You won't
find them in like a single.
Exactly. I think there's a little bit of them that know that if these guys don't get backed, they're just going to think, fuck this, it ain't worth it, So God bless those people.
Yeah, man. So, all right, cool. Well, I think we're close to wrapping up, but we'll just touch on a few more bits. I just want to ask you quickly about finding the right balance between the band and your other day job business and the sort of trials and tribulations of that.
Yeah, it's fucking immensely difficult. I have got the sort of mind where if I'm into something at that time, like we touched on it already at the beginning of the conversation, I'm in it. Up to my, all the way, 100%. But where you have to balance this, the day job, unfortunately, without the day job, I ain't got nowhere to live, and so that has to have some attention. But what I've been guilty of, maybe a bit too much in the year just gone by, is giving too much to the day job, not enough to the band, Obviously, since Christmas, having a couple of weeks off, switch off, priorities realign, the band comes back up to the top, and my one New Year's resolution is to give the band a healthy portion of my attention, because the day job's getting it regardless, because it has to. Otherwise there's no food in the fridge, but it's immensely difficult. So we've touched on it recently, just making sure that you plan ahead at the very least 8 hours a month, was it?
It was a week.
Was it a week? Yeah. No. Of course it was. Yeah. 8 hours
to put
a week
solely into the business
band,
and marketing.
Be it reading a music business book, writing a couple of tunes, whatever it may be. If you can just guarantee your band that time, then you can't say no fairer than that, because everyone's got shit that they need. God knows how many plates they're trying to spin.
Yeah, and you run your own business, don't you, day to day?
Yeah, which is all consuming. Like if I'm awake, I'm open for business, because floor laying, there's a hell of a lot of competition. So I've got to do whatever I need to do to cut through the noise and win that job. So it is tough, but the thing is, if you love something enough, you'll find time for it. It might be more difficult through certain periods than other times, but you find time for it.
And I think what listeners might find interesting as well is you started your carpet laying business like a couple of years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it's hit the ground running and been really successful. So props for that.
Thank you very much, mate.
But
you had your own role to play in that.
Well, and you where's my percentage there, man?
Stick it on the slate, mate. Stick it on the slate.
So, but we've had a chat recently about this, haven't we? And because we always sort of give one another advice on all our business pursuits and that. And you're sort of now coming to the realization that you could keep growing that carpet business into a bit of a monster and become like a bit of a, you could have 10 vans on the road if you really, like, with your attitude and work ethic and knowledge, you could really grow that into a monster. But you're sort of establishing now that you only want to grow it to a point now where it pays you a nice, comfortable wage with enough money to invest in other things, particularly the band, and you want to keep it small so that you've got that space. And I think that the reason I think it's important to touch on that is people fall in the trap of like, oh, this is going so well. If I stick at this, I could have 10 vans on the road in a few years. And the people around them that don't understand the sort of what fuels an entrepreneur, and especially in music, people just look at that like you're fucking delusional if you want to do anything in music. They'd be encouraging you to go, oh, just mate, yeah, grow it, keep doing the carpet, man. That's the carpets. That's solid, and fuck me, how much have you done in the last year in turnover? You could blah blah blah, but you've got to have the sort of awareness and stubbornness and mental fortitude to not get swayed by that big carrot that's dangling. Of like, that's much more straightforward for you if you want to just be as successful in a space as quickly as possible, right?
Definitely. Well, look, listen, in an ideal world, right, there's going to be this flooring business with 10 vans on the road where I'm not needed for it to operate. So I could just take the money, stump it in the band, lovely jubbly. But what, like you say, I've recently come to the realization of is to get it to that point, there's going to be a portion of time where I am going to not be able to give a second to the band.
Yeah.
And all this momentum that we've created is going to be lost. So by the time I have got a flooring business that can operate on its own,
yeah,
our fans are going to be like, well, we've fucking heard from you for 5 years.
Exactly. Yeah. You know? So you might as well like cap it at a point.
Exactly, mate. Exactly. So,
so it frees up more time.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm now at a point with it, and I'm ever so grateful, you know, that I am. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, I've put shift in for the last 2 years, massively. But I'm now at a point where certain things can happen without me. You know, which is amazing. Like this week, for example, is a really good example. I ain't done a day myself, but a few quid's come in the bank. And I've come to the realization that's fine. That's fine, you know, because there's a portion of money that can go to the band. I'm not super stressed. I haven't got some multi-million pound building company breathing down my neck why 400 houses ain't got their carpet in yet. You know, it's sweet. I'm in a lovely position at the moment, and thankfully the Christmas break, for one reason or another, I just switched off properly. I never really switch off at all at any point, even when I go on holiday and that. But
it's good that you can now.
Well, I just did this year. It's not something I consciously tried to do. I just did, and thank God I did, because I'm now in a place where it's like, right, well, this is fine, you know, this is all good. The band's getting pounded this year, being in this frame of mind, you know, like financially and time and effort, like the band's getting more than it's ever got, because I just feel more driven than ever. Even in them early days when it was like, you know, where we're going, Keno, and all of that, you know, I just feel happy, healthy, and focused.
Awesome,
at the
man.
moment.
Well, mate, I mean, we could literally keep talking till the cows come home. So
mate?
we're going to have to sit down and do this again soon for sure. But yeah, one last thing then before we wrap up this episode. Have you got any advice for any musicians that might be listening that were in the same position as you were 4 years ago, struggling to build a fan base?
Yeah. And it's something my old man said to me when I left school. Especially living in England, you know, like, we don't know how lucky we are living in England. Yeah, it's got its faults, but everything you get, especially if you're from the south of England, this is no disrespect to Northerners or anything like that, but if you're from the south of England, the world really is your oyster. If you want something, it's there for the taking, but you've got to make it happen for yourself. And if you feel like you've got the drive and the hunger to build a music career, take this opportunity, because we're in a fucking golden age of social media where you can make it happen for yourself. So if you truly want it, go and fucking get it.
Awesome. Perfect. Well, Dan, nice one, mate.
Thank you for having me, mate.
Absolute pleasure. Let's do it again soon.
Absolutely, mate.
Oi, people, Silky here. I hope you enjoyed part 2 of my chat with Dan Dodson as much as I did. If you'd like to hear more conversations exploring the minds of creative music entrepreneurs, you can check out more episodes of the Life a Musician podcast on all major streaming platforms now. Nice one.